If I were ever to let any Dracula give me a hickey, give me a kiss on the neck, if you will, it definitely ain't this one. That's for sure. It would hands down be Gary Oldman for Bram Stoker's Dracula. Hello, boys and girls, witches and vampires, goblins and ghouls, and welcome to the nightmare. If you could please like and subscribe to today's video, it really helps out my channel, and I truly appreciate it from every single one of you. Welcome to today's video. We're going to be discussing and going over the new Dracula movie that just dropped, the 2026 one. I know I'm a little bit behind. I've been a little busy, you know, life catches up to you, things happen, but I'm here now. I saw it, and I definitely have some strong opinions about this one, okay? It's not all butterflies and rainbows. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to give you my true, honest opinion to the movie. And I'd like to welcome my wonderful friend Derek from his channel, The Third Reel. He's going to be joining me today, and we're going to talk about whether we liked it, whether we loved it, our difference of opinions on it. And I am so excited to have him join us today, and I hope you all enjoy it as well. Hey Derek, thanks for joining me today. It's much appreciated. How's the weather over there in the UK?
Don't ask. It's raining as usual. But I want to say though, Jess, I want to thank you so much for inviting me to your channel. And I know you knew, so am I relatively, but your last two videos have been really good. And I know you said that you're not much of a pro, but you know what? If you ain't a pro yet, I'd love to see what you're like when you think you are, because you've been doing really well. And I think it's been a great channel, and I wish the best for you, you know, and thanks for letting me come onto the channel. You know.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining me today. I absolutely love that we get to do a video together and we get to share our opinions. And I really appreciate all the love and support from you as well for my new channel.
I just do want to say though, I've known you now for about 5 years. For anyone who's watching this, I know Jess for about 5 years, and everything you see is real. Yeah, she actually is real. Right, she's nuts. I'm telling you, right. And she's a lovely person. She is definitely into horror more than me. But I do love horror. It's just she is nuts. So what you see is basically what you get. She is beautiful. Yes, I know. She's sexy. She's lovely in every way, inside and out. And she's great. So I want everyone to know this isn't all scripted with her. She's the real deal here. And it's about time you did this channel anyway. What's wrong with you? You've been going on about it for ages. So I'm glad to hear it.
I know. Thank you. Yes. It took a while. It's kind of nerve-wracking starting your own channel, especially if you've never done it before. I mean, I think it takes a lot of guts, as you know. You've been at this for quite a while too with your channel, The Third Reel, and it's a lot. But I absolutely love it. I can't wait to do more. And everything you said is completely true. I am a bit nuts. In fact, I think I kind of tone it down a little bit for the videos. But if you know me in real life, this is just me, unapologetically me.
It's true. She's worse than this, but yeah.
So some of you may not know, because, you know, I am very new to YouTube. I am a huge fan of Bram Stoker's Dracula. I saw it when I was very young. It was my first horror movie, really. I formed a connection with it. Just everything about it is just absolutely wonderful, right? So I'm going to be honest going into this movie review. You know, it's going to be hard not to compare it too much to it, but at the same time, it's following the same storyline and story plot, and it's kind of a retelling of that. And it didn't really live up to my expectations too much. Yeah. But I am going to be honest with you guys. I'm not going to hold back. I really don't think I should just, you know, automatically love everything. I think part of my channel is me being honest. And if I have critiques about something, I'm going to let you guys know. I mean, how do you feel about that?
I agree with you all the time. Yeah, but you can't please everyone. If you, to be real like you are, like I know you are, you've got to say what you know, I know you want to avoid certain films because you don't want to say bad things because you're a new channel, but part of who you are is what makes you is if you don't like it, you don't like it. Do you know what I mean? And I know you're a big fan of the original. I know this.
Big fan.
Now, I'll be honest with you, I've not read the book. Have you read the book?
Yes, I have read the book.
All right, so my only reference is Bram Stoker's Dracula, so it's very hard not to compare it for me because I don't know anything from the book. There's a few things I think we'll get into that maybe in the book may not be. Did they change? I don't know. But as I say, like, I mean, what did you think of the casting choices in general?
Okay, so honestly, the casting choices, not the greatest in my opinion.
Okay.
Was the main actor who played Dracula, was he good? He was decent enough, right?
Yeah.
He was decent enough in my opinion, but I really don't think he had the aesthetic that I think true like Dracula fans were looking for. And again, he's given lines, he has to do his part, he's told what to say, what to do. Do I think it could have been written a little bit better for that part? Yes. There's quite a few characters missing too. There's no, Lucy Westeros. It's Maria.
Yeah. Oh, so, just quickly, on the book, is that Lucy actually does exist on the book?
Yes, I believe so. And you have to forgive me. I read this book. I read the book. I want to say like about 10 to 12 years ago. So my memory is a little in and out, but yes, I do believe so. Mina Harker, all of that. So they did keep some of those characters, but I think the actors who actually played those characters, they were all right. It wasn't anything that really stood out in my opinion. What are your thoughts on them?
Well, all right. So again, hard for me to compare it to someone else. Now, I will say when I was a kid to see Dracula, I was the only person that I knew that was really interested in at that time. I'm the only person who loves movies and horrors as much as I do. But I was like, this is Dracula, When I see it was Gary Oldman, who I'd only known from another movie called The Firm, which you probably don't know. He's playing a football hooligan, nuts. I was like, my mind was Christopher Lee and Bela Lugosi and a few others like that. So I was like, when I saw it, because to me, like, when I saw it, I was like, okay, this guy is owning this part. And over the years, obviously, we know Gary Oldman being one of the greatest. He's a chameleon in every fucking thing he does. Sorry, swearing. Yeah, he's a chameleon in everything. Yeah. So yeah, he brought charm. I'm talking about the old one now. He brought in charm. He was handsome in a funny-looking way. He had the long hair and the white. But the thing is, what I would say about this guy is that when I saw the trailer, I was like, ooh, nothing against the guy at all, because I've seen him in other films like Get Out, and he was okay. I haven't seen Big Deal. I was like, I don't know. Yeah, he doesn't look traditionally like Dracula, but then even did Gary Oldman. But what I will say is, despite how I feel about this film, I do think he did a good job for what he was given. Yeah, he's actually a decent actor, and I wouldn't mind seeing him in other things. Being thrown into a big iconic part like this, not looking the kind of person like him, and doing what he did, I think he did all right. Remember, he didn't write it, but he did everything in every scene. I think he did really well, and I have to give it to him. And I can't fault him for it. I really can't. I've got to give him thumbs up for it. Not Gary Oldman, but it's not his fault. So yeah. What did you think of the priest? Van Helsing. I was like, what the hell?
Oh, again, so disappointed. Disappointed.
I don't know why they changed that, but okay.
And that was such an integral part of Bram Stoker's Dracula, was the Van Helsing character, right? And just it helped bring like why they're hunting him, and like how they hunt him, and how he knows his backstory, and his family's been hunting him for generations. And then we get this new movie, right? And it's not Van Helsing. It's just a random priest.
Yeah.
So for me, that was not okay in my book.
I don't know why they changed the name. Why they didn't just keep him as Priest Van Helsing or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Although Van Helsing isn't a priest, though, is he? Is he a scientist or something? Yes,
he's more like a scientist, like researching and like medical field, some aspects. Yes.
With Christoph Waltz, I love this guy. Everything he's in,
me too.
He really is good. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But the thing is that to me, he was nearly born for this part because he's German as well. I think Van Helsing is German, right? I was like, oh shit. But I felt like he was tame on this for me. And I told you, for your audience who's American, over in England, there's this famous female detective. I don't know if she's like in the 1800s. She's called Miss Marple. She's like a bit like Columbo or some shit like that. She goes and solves mysteries and murders, right? And I was watching, and I was like, why is he dressed up as Miss Marple? I just couldn't. I just couldn't get. Maybe it was how they dressed back in the 1800s. I don't know. Maybe. I was like, look at, again, comparing it. Look at what's his name, Anthony Hopkins. He looked good. This guy was dressed like an old woman going around selling Bibles or some shit, you know. And I was like, I couldn't get it out of my mind when I was seeing him. And I want you to put pictures up to compare it to Miss Marple, you know. And I just also, there was something else I found about him, was he didn't have that kind of eccentric, crazy character that Anthony Hopkins brought to it. You know, he was eccentric, he was crazy, maybe a touch here and there, like, don't get me wrong, but, and I'm not knocking him because you know he is the best actor in the world, like, you know what I mean? So it was just, I wanted more from him, in the sense where being a bit more crazy or eccentric and all that, and I just felt he was kind of flat for who they got. They didn't make the best of it. But again, this is a low budget movie. I think it cost about 35 million to make, or maybe 55 million to make, which is, there's a lot of money. Not for this, yeah. And I feel like if you're spending very little and you've got him for quite a little money, make the best of him. Do you know what I mean?
I agree.
So, yeah, but again, I can't. It wasn't terrible. It weren't terrible at all. You know, and there is a few questions I want to ask you.
Okay. Yes.
I don't know if it's too soon to say it though. It's a bit early to say it in the video, but this is, I suppose you should say, it's kind of a spoiler, right? Video. Yeah.
Spoiler alert, people.
Yeah. Okay. So, it's kind of spoiler. I don't need to give it away as such, but do you know when you know how to kill Dracula in Bram Stoker's? I'm assuming that's like the book, because it's like all the other Dracula movies I know, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, with the sunlight and the crosses didn't affect him and all these other things, right? I take it that's from the book. Now, the only way Van Helsing can kill him is get him to renounce his bad self and pray to God and forgiveness and all that. And then once you can do that, you can kill him and you can go to heaven or some shit, yeah? Right. So his job was to go and get, not to kill him as such, but to get him to be sorry and renounce and all that. And I'm assuming the other one's more accurate to the book, like, because traditionally over the years, all I know is Dracula don't like crosses, he don't like holy water, he doesn't like garlic. Did they bring that up in this?
They brought it up for like 3 seconds.
Yeah, and then he was okay around crucifixes, and he walked into the nunnery, and we'll get to that other thing in a minute. Yeah. But I mean, in the book, what did you? Is the other one's more accurate? I take it.
Forgive me, like I said, it's been a while since I read the book, but I'm going based off of, like, you know, every vampire lore out there in every movie, the crosses, like you said, the garlic, the stake to the heart, and like, you know, chopping the head off as well with the stake to the heart if it's, you know, Dracula. It just, this movie didn't provide anything like that. They can walk in the sunlight, which they briefly went into, again, for about 3 seconds on why. But to me, it was just missing a lot of those critical, crucial elements that really makes Dracula and the character and the lore of Dracula and how to get rid of him. It was just missing in this movie, in my opinion.
Like you said, like, they did briefly say, oh, he can go out in the sunlight, but certain rays don't affect him, and then that was it. Okay, so giving us the excuse why he can go out in the day, then, you know, easily, okay. And I was like, okay. Now, before we get into, it's your channel, sorry. What I was going to say to you was, some of the other characters, like Jonathan Harker, to me, he was like a bumbling idiot. Now, maybe he's like that in the book. Now, everyone can say what you want about Keanu Reeves and the other one, his British accent, and I'm British, so I'll be the judge of that. And have you heard Jason Statham's American accent? It's not so good. Yeah, no. So I'm just saying, people knock him, but he wasn't an idiot as such, you know? This guy was a bumbling idiot. I'm like, there's no way that Mina would marry him. Like, you know what I mean?
They did Jonathan Harker so dirty in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, so dirty. They made him look borderline, like, completely unintelligent, like, oblivious to his surroundings, to everything going on around him, like, dumb-witted. It's just, they did it dirty.
Yeah. I mean, do you know when, what was it? All right, so my theory is that he is supernatural Jonathan Harker on this, because you know how Dracula can look at you and give you that trance, and well, there's no way this Jonathan Harker was going to get Mina as a girlfriend or wife, so he must have had some trance over her, so he's supernatural. That's all I'm saying, because he was just like comic relief. I'm like, this didn't fit. Now, did you notice the humor in the movie at all? There was little elements of humor in this.
Yes, I did, and that's something I was not expecting at all with this movie. I was expecting just horror, you know, the classic Dracula story. I was expecting the love aspect, because that's a big part of Dracula, right?
Yeah.
Totally expected. The humor and kind of campiness and you know, sprinkled here and there throughout the movie, totally unexpected. And honestly, I don't think it was a very good fit. What are your thoughts on that? Am I wrong, or did you kind of feel like that?
I agree. What did you think of the Gargoyles?
Oh, Lord, don't get me started on the Gargoyles. The first time I saw them, I was like, what in the hell is this? What in the CGI nightmare is this?
Yeah.
You watch the cartoon, it was like an animated series back, I think it was like late 80s, early 90s, Gargoyles. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
I was wondering if they hired the people who made that to make the Gargoyles for this movie. Well, they were cheesy, they were cheap looking. Gargoyles were I've never even heard of gargoyles being like Dracula's little helpers or minions or involved in any way. I mean, I guess they were trying to get like a new spin or aspect on it to make it.
Yeah, I've got to give them credit for trying something different.
But to me, it was, I don't know, it was fun. I started laughing when I saw them.
All right.
I was, gotta be kidding me. So to me, it was the complete wrong fit. What are your thoughts on the Gargoyles?
I'm gonna say, look, the budget was low, so I will forgive them for it not looking bang on, because it didn't completely take me out of the film. But what did was, when I got the inkling we're going to get Gargoyles as his kind of minions, I was like, ooh, okay, maybe this will be good. But they were like more comic relief, like cute little Baby Yoda type things that, you know, and I was like, okay, you know, this ain't, you know, like, I can forgive some of the CGI, I really can, because they got a lot of the prosthetics and the clothing and everything else looked pretty decent. So I have to give them credit for the amount of money they had. The CGI on that, I can forgive it a little bit, but what I can't forgive is making it. It just didn't feel right. It sometimes didn't fit. Am I supposed to be laughing here at this scene? Like with Jonathan Harker, he was up saying, ooh, and I was like, is this supposed to be funny? Because it doesn't feel like it fits in this movie as such, you know? And so that was what I was going to say about the Gargoyles and Jonathan Harker. I just feel like I need to give it a pass because it's a low budget for the Gargoyles. I just don't know why they decided to make him kind of playful, especially when this is supposed to be a dramatic love story, tragic type thing, you know? So that was my problem with it.
So I want to bring up something that when I saw it in the movie, I was like, okay now. So Dracula typically has charm, right? He's able to hypnotize people. He's able to like stare into your eyes and kind of command them at will. He has that charm about him. You know, I mean, if it were me, I'd be charmed anyways. But this movie right here, Dracula spends 400 years making a cologne. He's going all across the world. He's traveling to different countries. He's perfecting his scent. He's in Italy with like the perfume makers, and he's trying to make a scent to attract people, to get them under his spell, right? I don't know. I thought it was ridiculous. Dracula's supposed to be like this powerful, all-commanding, character, like villain. And you have him going around kind of like dressing in period clothing, going to different balls, and they're doing like dancing scenes, and he's like gingerly dabbing himself with the cologne. I don't know. It was super odd, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on the whole cologne thing and him not being able to just, command people and his search for it? Like, what are your opinions on that part?
First of all, I want to know where I can get me some of that cologne. Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's some good stuff. I mean, again, spoilers. You might as well put spoiler on this, but
spoilers.
The nunnery, is it you call it a nunnery? Into Nun's house, and they literally
the nuns are.
Right. Okay, this film's just gone up a level. But yeah, I agree. I like that Dracula is like very supernatural, and he can not silver, but he's strong. He's able to. I like that being part of his thing. Like, he can turn into a bat. He can turn into a wolf. That wasn't brought up on this.
Not at all.
Yeah, and maybe it was budgeting problems. Maybe it was that. Maybe not. But at least reference it a little bit, or show a bat flying in and then he appearing behind it or something. I don't know. But I was just saying, is the cologne thing. Apart from, I would love to have some. I would prefer he just did that trance thing. But I do appreciate the longer backstory we've got on this. Yeah. And for you, because you love Dracula so much, it's hard for you to like this in general, even if it was brilliant, right? But I do love the old one. But I tried to find the best in this. And what I was going to say is, I did like the fact that he was lonely for a very long time, and it showed more of it, rather than the beginning of the other one. Yeah. I did like that. I did like just the cologne thing was that. But then he seemed to not kill people for a while until he went, that's it, I've had enough. Which, fine, I understand. There's one more thing I liked more on this than the other one. Not how much it looked, but what they've done right. So on the original, I don't know if this is in the book, but he went to war against, I think, is it the Turks or something, and then his wife got a letter saying then she jumped out of a window. Yeah, that's probably on the original. It kind of touched upon, and this one, about him being Vlad the Impaler, what the real guy did, who is absolutely terrifying. Dracula's a bloody the Disney character to him. But anyway, I liked that he fought, as far as he and the priest were concerned, he was doing God's work. And he says to the priest, tell him, make sure my wife is safe. Don't ask you, girl. No, you tell him. I'm doing this for him. And I really believe I would be the same. Yeah? You tell him, I'm going killing and doing all this thing for you. Keep her safe. That's the one thing. Now you tell him. He goes, all right. Then later on, obviously he doesn't. I liked the way that the Turks were coming after her too, and that moment when he was doing everything in his power to get to her on time. I did like that more than her just jumping out of a window over a letter. Yeah, but and the traps, I did like that. I really did. So I give that more than the old one. And also, do you know when he goes to the priest and says, right, you tell him to bring her back. Now, I believed him. And that's where his acting was good. I believed he meant this, and I felt I would be the same. I would be like, I suppose he did on the original, but I would be the same. You bring him back. Oh, you don't perform here. He'll do this for me. Yeah, and he didn't. And I actually enjoyed that slightly more than the little bit we got on the other one, her jumping out of a window. I felt more connected to her, in the sense for what she was going through trying to get away. I believed he meant what he was saying when he was saying bring her back, or promise me, he lied to me, all that. I did. I will give him props, and I did like the 400 years of what he's doing in between. I like the fact that he was trying to get himself a clone. I thought he was trying to start himself a business. And it would have been real good business, that stuff, tell you what. But again, I don't want to take over your chance. I'm doing all the talking, I'm sorry. But just my opinions on that. I know, because everyone's going to hate this, and I feel like I need to balance, give it something, do you know what I mean, that I did enjoy. So I'm just saying that I was against that.
Yeah, no, I will agree with you. I do appreciate backstories, right? Because in the original, we are missing like this time. It's just kind of assumed that he's just been like aging in his castle, and you know, he lost the love of his life. He turned his back on God. He became Dracula, and he's just kind of rotting away in this castle, getting old and decrepit. So I do appreciate that they try to fill that time gap of what he was actually doing leading up to, you know, the introduction of Jonathan Harker and him going there and all of that. Yeah. I do appreciate that. And I will say too, the acting was very believable in that scene after his wife is killed.
Yeah, I believed him.
I liked it. I believed it. I felt like he had a very like, you can just feel the love
the
he
pain.
had. Pain, love, the hurt that he was going through. How, like you said, how he was fighting, you know, for God, and everything that happened, and just the anguish.
One thing, just protect my missus. Now, I'll be honest with you, if I was in his situation, I would have done exactly the same, and I would have renounced. I would have went mental. You bring her back, because I've just done all this shit for you. I just want to ask you this quickly. What did you think of Oldman Dracula on this? Big hair.
The hair?
Yeah.
Okay, so listen. Bram Stoker's Dracula, his hair looks like a butt, right? It's got like I don't know, it looks like a butt to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so so we see the hair on him in the castle. Good Lord. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like an anime character from like an anime show. So they did like the bun thing, but then they had like the pieces of hair in the front.
Yeah.
And all I could think of was like, you ever seen Sailor Moon?
No.
Okay, maybe it's because it's like girls. It's like old school anime back in the day. They do this thing where they like transform in the air and they get into like their outfits. And I swear it was the same hairstyle as one of the chicks from Sailor Moon.
All right. Well, I will say this. So I did a bit of research on that only. And I wanted to know, on Bram Stoker's book, does he have big old hair like that? And apparently that was just a Francis Ford Coppola thing, you know. And so basically they weren't taking from the book, they were actually taking from his
movie.
Bro, the fact that in the 90s when I saw Gary Oldman with that big old butt, it was the same reaction I got on this anyway. You know what I mean? Seriously. Yeah. Like, he looked like a peacock, he looked messed up. His hair was all over the place, but then you know what? Back in the day, when you see this big ass, sorry, you guys call it, on the back of your head, it was the same reaction. So I'm not going to knock it. They were just copying, and you know what? If you're going to copy something, copy from the best, I suppose, right? So I'm not going to give him a hard time over it. And I thought the makeup was pretty decent as well, you know.
I thought the makeup was decent, and yeah, to be fair, both hairstyles in both movies were unnecessary in my opinion and kind of out there. But I mean, we went from like the butt hair to like the butt hair with long bangs. I don't know, the bangs, just the long bangs in the front, the money pieces just kind of took me out.
It's like the first one was just the butt, but this one's a butt with hair coming out of it, sort of thing, you know.
Yeah. So I just also want to bring up the relationship and the storyline and the whole plot between Mina and Dracula. So in Bram Stoker's, they really take their time throughout the whole movie. Okay, it's constant. He's chasing her. He's trying to go to her window. He's trying to get her attention. You know, he sees her in town. You know, he introduces himself as a prince. He's trying to kind of wine and dine her and get to know her because, you know, once again, it's a reincarnated soul from his love from, you know, 400 years ago. or whatnot. So to me, in this movie particularly, there was none of that. It kind of skipped around. It didn't even really happen until like the maybe last third of the movie, I think. Yeah. And so I was missing a lot of that. The movie was missing a lot of context on that, and about like his whole love for her and his obsession with her and his one true love and his soulmate. A lot of that was missing from this, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on the whole storyline, the way they did it, how they kind of skipped to like the very end? There wasn't a build-up. What are your opinions on this?
I agree, but there's one thing I disagree with is
okay.
I think that I did get the impression there was an obsession from him to find her. Yeah, all right. So, I mean, throughout the whole movie, it was based on his obsession. To me, that's my opinion, yeah. But I do agree with you is that one of the main things is, you could say this is like more of a tragic love story than a horror film. So is the other one, yeah?
Yes.
And it's based around love. And so I felt like the build-up with those two when they first met wasn't enough. It was something. He met her through Mina, it's Lucy.
Maria, yeah. He is now Maria in this one, yeah.
But he met her, then they had this little chat. Next minute, he's jumping through a window. And then next minute, the jump.
Yeah.
Now, I know you pointed this out to me before. You said, and I'm glad you said it. You said they were like they were chatting away, and she was under his trance, or she loved him with all that. And next minute, they were in the carriage in Transylvania. He like jumped, and that's fine. I'm glad you pointed out. But like you said, I felt maybe they were running out of time, for the film. Instead of being 3 hours, I do feel I felt more with the wife dying at the beginning because of the way she was trying to get away, but I didn't feel enough. I did on his behalf.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but I didn't feel the big connection. There wasn't enough build up. It just, he met her, then he jumped through a bedroom. Like, Dracula is the ultimate stalker. If he was around today, he would be cancelled. Yeah, he would be somewhere cancelled or something, hiding away or something. But so I agree with you there. So yeah.
All right, and also we mentioned Lucy originally, from Bram Stoker. Excuse me. So there's no Lucy in this one. It's, I can believe Maria is her name, and then even with that, so in the movie, Mina's asked, how do you know her? How do you meet her? And she states she met her like a couple of days before or something. Yeah. And then got invited to the wedding or whatnot, I guess. And I don't know. Like originally they were childhood friends. Like they grew up together. They were super close. They shared everything. And in this movie, they met a couple days prior, and she's extremely eccentric. She's just laughing and giggling and just dragging her by the arm everywhere and, doing shots. And it's just very, very different to me. Like you said, there's a lot of comedic things in this movie. And I kind of feel like the character for the Maria chick, it was kind of comedic. Like she was funny. She wasn't very serious. I don't know. I will say this, though. In the beginning, when they have her in, I believe it's the insane asylum, and she's like chained down to the floor.
Yeah.
I thought that was a beautifully done scene. The way
sexy as hell, as far as I was concerned.
Looks sexy as hell, right?
Bite me,
But also, like, just from like a cinematography point of view, the way they had her dress kind of laid out, and she's chained all over the floor, and the way she presents herself, you can clearly tell she's a vampire, right? Yeah. But she's got this kind of charm to her, and also you can kind of see that human aspect breaking through a little bit when the priest is talking to her and others are talking to her. So I did like that. I will give this movie credit for that part, but I don't know. I kind of feel let down with that as well. What are your thoughts on them differing?
All right. So again, I only know from the old film, but all right. So it felt like if they were childhood friends, then her jumping around for what Lucy or Maria wanted, or the wedding and all that, would have made more sense. Like, she just met her. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they were trying to give us the impression that Dracula put the spell on her, so now she's doing her best to bring Mina into it. But still, it would have made more sense. Now, I have to say, it felt like she was on cocaine for the whole thing. Come on. I was like, what? You know, it's like, felt like she was on like something the whole time, speed or lots of Red Bull. I don't know, yeah. But you're running around, and then there was one scene I thought Dracula's going to mess her up here. So Dracula had, what's her name, Mina, in some kind of dressing, in some room anyway, yeah. And they were talking at night privately, and he was talking away to her. This is his moment where he has her alone, yeah. And next minute, Maria comes in. Come on, watch the fireworks, like, yeah. It pulls her out, and I thought Dracula was going to go like that. You know, you messed that moment up for me. He didn't, and I was like, all right. But what I was going to say is balancing it out. You know, Lucy in the original, she was very hyper too. She was, I'm getting married to him. Oh, like, in fairness, there was a scene to be more of a balance. She was just a bit wild. This one just like was like that, yeah. So you have to give her credit. The old one, the old Lucy. No, keep saying it's Lucy, isn't it?
Lucy and Bram Stoker's, yes.
Yeah, she was a bit hyper. She's a bit wild, but that was her character. And even Mina pointed out, "Oh my God, this is how she's like, but this is why we love her, right?" This one was just unhinged, and obviously, it felt like. Yeah, okay, it's probably the spell, but it was a bit, come on, calm the hell down a little bit, you know what I mean? Because even Maria was like, you know what I mean? Even Dracula was like, oh my, cut her throat. But yeah, I will say, I didn't mind it, but I did notice it and just calm down a little bit. But, you know, we haven't been bitten by it, but I actually think you might have been. I think you are a vampire. Yeah.
No, unfortunately not yet.
Well, I just say, look, I don't want to knock it too much. It was fine. That part was fine. Just a bit. Get off, come down. You know, drink some decaf. You know, something like that.
I will say this though, and you brought this up, and I forgot to mention this. So in this movie, right? She's like his little minion. She's doing his work. Like, she's looking for Mina. She's doing it to bring Mina to him. Right? Yeah. It differs from, you know, the other movie, but I did kind of like that. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Oh yeah.
But it also brings me to this point: where the hell is Renfield?
Right.
Where the hell? Like, it's just complete that character, that part of the classic Dracula story is just completely missing. I understand they put Maria in the insane asylum. I don't know. Maybe that's their take. Is Maria? Renfield, she's doing that. Is what I thought from it, but I don't know. To me, like, whenever you hear Dracula, you think of like Renfield. He's like, you know, crazy, and he's serving his master. He's eating bugs and all this stuff.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Again, it could be down to because the film was already 2 hours long.
Yeah, it's a little over 2 hours, I think.
Maybe it was just timing, and look. Maybe it was they just wanted to do their own take and they didn't feel he was important enough for what they were doing to add, you know, give him too much character. You remember, in the original Bram Stoker's, at the beginning, there's only about 2 minutes of the backstory. We spend a lot of time on the backstory on this.
Yes.
So they probably had more time and more room to put in Renfield than the other one, you know. Yes. Also, all of Lucy's suitors would call it. You know,
yes,
they had more time, but you know what? They could be saying, you know what, we're doing our own thing here and we don't need him, and that's fine. You know, I didn't miss him that much, but you being a big fan, you know, other people will be, oh, where is he, and all that. So I'm not going to comment because I'm not clever enough or don't know enough, but I did notice it. He wasn't there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think their take is she's kind of like his Renfield, and that's their spin on this one, if you will. So for the last part of reviewing this newest 2026 Dracula movie, I just want to kind of go over the buildup to the climax. All right, and I'm gonna give my piece on it, and then I want to hear your opinion, Derek, because to me this was something that it just felt missing and lacking, in my opinion. So in Bram Stoker's, right, you have Jonathan Harker. He's going to the ends of the earth, right? He's traveling through the forest. He's getting attacked by the wolves. His hair is starting to go gray. He's like, the life's just getting sucked out of him. He's doing absolutely everything to save Mina. Okay. This new movie, there's none of that. As you stated before, it's, they're in the room together. They smell the perfume from the fireplace, right? They're like, oh my gosh, he's here. They go up to the room. The window's open. They're like, oh, they must have escaped through the window. And then next thing you know, you see the Transylvanians or the townspeople, whatever, in the cart, in the carriage, pulling up to the castle. They open up the coffin and they're just like cuddling in there together. And then next thing you know, it's just a bunch of soldiers and Jonathan and like all the people in his party, and they're just kind of like lining the castle walls. For me, it's missing that element. And like you said, they may have just run out of time, but it's missing that crucial element of how hard he was fighting for her, the journey he had to go through, how they all got to the castle. And it just kind of left me really not satisfied and feeling like that was something they should have focused a little more time on. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. Yeah, it just jumped there. You see, I remember, it's been a while since I saw Bram. I've seen it a few times though. There was a big build-up, the chase to the Transylvania, the what do you call the Dracula's castle? Is that what you call it? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm calling it Dracula's castle.
the build-up, the fight all the way up the mountains and all that, the hectic tension and all that. Yeah, I agree. Maybe it was a timing thing. Also, I was a bit surprised when all his people, I don't know what you call them, people that looked out for him, he said, you go now and I'm going to. So what did you think? You were going to be okay or not? Maybe for the playful gargoyles were going to help him, I don't know. One thing I will say, the climax at the end wasn't fantastic. It wasn't bad. It was doable. It was fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What I will say is there was one moment that, you see, like we said earlier on, you can't just kill Drake because he was smashing them, chopping them all up and all that, a bit of an action film. But I suppose he could do that. Of course he can. Yeah. But matey or priest says, look, I'm not here to kill you. I'm here to save you. Right.
Yeah.
I kind of like that a little bit, to the point where she goes, but I've been looking for her for 400 years. She's my salvation. And he says, but you're her damnation. He goes, she will spend a life of pure damnation and everything you've been through. If you love her, you will give that up. And I like the fact that he went, I loved it that much that you're right, I'm going to give this up. And I did like that. It wasn't executed well, but I feel like with the acting of the guy who played Dracula, I've forgotten his name, forgive me, I felt like he did convey, okay, you're right. I've been so obsessed with getting her, I didn't think of the consequences of what it would be for her, and I do love her that much, and I'm going to, Now, again, with the original, we keep comparing, I hate doing this, but it was very heartfelt as well with the Mina. Sorry, yeah, with Mina, she was sad, and even though she wasn't under the trance at this point, even with Keanu Reeves, was like, I understand, and he's more understanding than I'd be, but then it's Dracula, what are you gonna say? But yeah, I felt like it was okay, but I did like the element where he's here to save him I appreciated that, rather than just come and stab him and cut his head off and now she's free.
Yeah.
to save her, he had to give his own life. Do you know what I mean? And I like that. He had to not redeem, say sorry and ask for forgiveness and all that. I thought that was okay. I can believe that. You know, that was just me.
No, I agree with you on that aspect. I did like that kind of new thing, that new twist they threw in there. I think it really showed that, you know, once again, it is like a tragic love story, right? And it really, really showed how much he truly loved her and cared about her. That, you know, that line, it's her damnation, right? He realized that, and, you know, he knew he had to let her go. So I do like that part in the movie. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a different take on it. I think it showed really that he just loved her so much and realized that that love has to kind of transcend what he wanted for her to be okay. And I do appreciate that from the movie. So that was pretty cool.
Let me ask you though, would you watch it again?
No.
No,
I will not be watching it again. That was, I don't want to be mean, but that was a rough 2 hours and whatever for me to watch. Again, you know, I am a little biased. It's
you are.
I am. I will admit it. I admit it. Okay. I am biased. I was sitting there trying to compare it to Bram Stoker's and Francis Ford Coppola's, you know, masterpiece.
Yeah.
And it did have certain aspects, but it was missing a lot. And they just kind of threw some weird stuff in there. They threw some comedy things in there. I don't know. I mean, am I happy I watched it? Yeah, I'm happy I watched it. I'm glad I watched it. But it's not something that I'm going to be adding to my repertoire and something I'm going to be watching over and over again like I do with the other Dracula movie.
Yeah.
But,
well,
all right. So
I would watch it again.
Would you watch it again?
I would. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe in a couple of years, but I would watch it again. I'm the one who's in between here. Not that I love it more than the other, which I don't. There is things that I liked about it, and if it was on TV or something, I would actually watch it again. I would not. So I would give it that again. Just my opinion. I know I'm not a big lover as the other one as you are. So I'm trying to give it, what's the word? I'm trying to balance it out, but give it some props because I felt there was some there. That's all. And I personally would again. Not out of my way, but I would watch it again. But I want to say this though. I want to thank you for inviting me on. Yeah, that's really nice of you to do that. And you know, thinking of me to come on, I appreciate it. And hopefully I can come on again. And you need to come on because she's been on one of mine. I want to point this out, by the way, everyone. She was on one of my videos, right? My videos don't do well, but the one she was on did pretty well. Do you know? I'm like, what the hell, right? So I'm prettier than you, and I. So yeah, no, really, thank you for letting me join, and hopefully we can do it again.
Oh yes, of course. Thank you so much for coming on to my channel. I really appreciate it too. I really like doing these type of videos together. I love the back and forth. I really enjoy doing the video for your channel, The Third Reel. You guys go subscribe to his channel too. He's got some awesome stuff, really awesome stuff. A lot of horror stuff and other movie reviews too. But please go check him out as well. We have our video on there together, as he stated. And thank you so much for joining me today. I had a lot of fun. I know we have like very different opinions on this movie, but I did like some stuff. I did like some stuff, but
pretty the same, I reckon.
You will be watching it again. I will not be. But so go check out his channel too, The Third Reel. And thank you so much for being here today. And until next time, everyone, thank you so much. Oh, also, before I forget, sorry, forgetting here, let me know if you would like some more videos like this on my channel. I know I'm new and I'm just starting out and I've been doing just videos by myself. But if you do want to see collaborations like this and you really thoroughly enjoyed this, I think as much as we have, please let me know down in the comments if you would like to see this again. And also maybe give some opinions on what you thought. That would be really helpful. Get a conversation going, and also maybe recommend some new upcoming movies that we can review together as well.
I would love to.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Derek. Really appreciate it.
I was going to say is that when people leave stuff in the comments, they're going to say, no, we don't want him again. We just want you. Yeah. Because if I put the same comment on my channel saying, should I do it with her again? They'll go, just have her completely, not me. So yeah. So that's a silly question, but it was nice that you asked. Yeah, no, thanks again. And please like and subscribe and give her all the love you can, because she, for people who don't know, if you're still watching at this point, so he's the admin of a couple of horror groups that I created on Facebook, right? And this is how we got to know each other, really. And she's, even when the groups ain't been doing so well, she never stops. She never gives up. She keeps posting stuff that she likes and interests. Me, I'm like, nobody cares, but she don't. And when she does, people do care because they believe in her. I'm just posting for the sake of it, you know? So yeah, she doesn't give up. She's a great girl, and I'm glad we're friends. So please like and subscribe to her. Don't worry about me. Yeah, because I know you're not anyway. Yeah, but anyway, thanks for again.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And until next time, bye-bye.
Bye, bye.